Hey everyone, and welcome back to Planet Zoo, and welcome back to another speed build today in a brand new series. This series is going to be our winter series, and it's called Hirscheck. And this one is literally translated a deer corner, or basically, it's not really completely accurate to be honest, because the German word more or less describes an area in like the forest where the deers are basically living. So Eck means, well, literally translated, it means corner, but it's it's more likely if you say it's just around the corner, and this is how it would translate into English, if you will. And this is the idea about this little forest over here. So it's going to be like a pretty much a very standardish Central European wildlife reserve. It's not going to be a zoo. It's more of these forest areas that have a nature reserve in themselves that you can visit, and they're most likely separated by some mesh fences, not crazy things. And once you're in, you even have some animals roaming around. So it's pretty cool, and we obviously used to go to a lot of them when I was smaller, and it's, I don't know if it's like, I think it's not coincidence. I think it's meant to be that way. But obviously, due to the fact that I'm having a lovely little daughter who's getting older and older and more capable of doing things, we did actually visit some of the nature reserves close by lately. And so I'm very much into the nature reserves. Very much at the moment, and so this is a perfect fit. And with the European pack, or the Europe pack, it's definitely going to be one of the coolest series you can do. However, I did not really expect to do this series, to be honest, because I thought this pack is not really kind of making me start a new series. But I don't know, it just sparked so many things in my creativity, in the back of my mind, that I thought, you know what, we're just going to start a new series here. It's going to be a short series. I know whenever I say short, we end up with a 100 episode Yosemite Valley. But I promise that's not going to happen over here. I will limit myself to the Europe pack animals and maybe one or two additions that you guys can come up with. I'm going to talk about that in the real-time part. But I will try to make this series a little bit more cozy, a bit more relaxed, a bit more enjoyable for those of you who maybe just want to relax during a speed build and just focus on the build, focus on the beautiful forest. The main target is really to build a lovely little enchanted forest here, and it's, in my mind, located in the Black Forest in Germany, even though that's not super close by. But, you know, Black Forest is something very unique and also very well known. And this viewing platform over here, this build is especially taken from one design that is pretty famous in Black Forest. There is one more modern looking Watchtower. It's not looking exactly this way. The reason for that is you've seen me struggling quite dramatically with the pathway. Still not really happy with the result, how the path ended up being, but there's not that much I can do about this, mainly because you all know it, the path system sometimes is limited and this is, you know, meant to be very positively put. But yeah, I tried to come up with an idea how to make this watchtower look meant to be this form, because it technically would have been so much more nice if I could make this whole staircase a lot more close to each other and a lot more tiny, so that this really looks like a thin little tower. But yeah, it's just no way of doing that. But I definitely wanted to make that functional and not having it just as a cosmetic tower somewhere in the background. So no, the target definitely was to make that one functioning. And, you know, I succeeded at least in that task, and I think it's still looking decent enough. Now, going on, I did some blueprints here of some of the plants, just to make sure that we have always a tree and then some ground foliage with it. I ended up doing it more of a homeopathic kind of doses here. It's really not, I didn't put down too many trees and stuff quite yet. I will, however, do this in the future to make this a really dense forest. But I think in terms of building, it's very much recommended to not have too many trees at the beginning, simply because it's gonna set everything into shade, and then you can't see anything. So yeah, no, I tried my best, but some of the things just didn't work out with putting everything down, and so I just tried to make it only in these areas where it counts. And this is also going to be our philosophy throughout this series, making sure that only in these areas that the guest will be able to walk by, I will focus on a very dense foliage, and then the further away it is from the eyesight of the people or of the visitors, we are going to work a lot more with like bigger foliage, putting into the gaps just to make it seem like there's a lot going on, but then again saving also a bit on performance. And yeah, now it's time, guys, to speak about the new pieces. And oh boy, I can't tell you how happy I am about the pieces in this update. I already had the feeling that they will be very versatile, but they even exceeded this expectation by far. You can utilize these pieces now in so many ways, making things look so much more better. We will have a very simple viewing platform over here. This is meant to be for the deers. This is the big deer habitat on the left hand side. We are starting with the animal that is giving, is helping to have the name, basically the name pattern of this series. So we are obviously starting with that. So we have the Watchtower, but we will also have this viewing platform over here. And there will be a third option, and that is going to be a trail that goes through the habitat or through the forest area, because the idea is that they live pretty much in a forest, and this reserve has like a gigantic mesh fence around it. And since it's so big, you can actually go in and go through a trail yourself if you want, but it still is going to be separated by some doors and stuff from the guest area, because inevitably this area here is going to be the guest area. And you can see I'm trying my best here to use some of the decals, and these decals are just something else. They are freaking amazing because they add a completely new dimension about this. I'm going to also make a video simply only about the decals, just because they are too good to not talk about them in particular. So I'm more than happy to be finally having a proper list of decals in this game now. Very nice stuff. Yeah, I branched out a little bit more with the water in here. Wanted to make that a bit more integrated into the project, but I'm quite certain that we will touch the water a couple more times now, just to make that all finished. The overall footprint of this project will be rather small. Like, I definitely want to finish this project up, maybe even before the next DLC, with a tiny little escape door I will give myself if the next DLC is giving us some animals that would fit into this project. I might continue on doing this, but the clear target is to finish that well into the February, maybe at latest March of next year. Maybe even quicker, who knows. I've got a couple of days off between Christmas and New Year's Eve, so maybe I'm going to sit down and do some stuff here and then maybe even finish that. Let's see how that rolls, but there are so many other games at the moment that I think it's fair to say to have a bigger horizon and just, be easy on the timing, because as we all know, most of the timings I set myself are not realistic with my everyday job and stuff like that. So job always comes first, family always comes first, health always comes first, so many things that come first. So I try to be a bit more easy on my timings now, but let's see how that rolls. You can see I'm also integrating a little bit of it's not really a waterfall, but what you used to see in forest areas a lot are a little water dribbling holes that carry some little creeks and stuff over into another area, and this is exactly what's going to happen over there. So to the top of where the water is coming from for the deer habitat, there is going to be the ibex area, and this one is going to also feature a little creek that is running through it, and I'm mainly focusing on integrating that also into the pathway in terms of a little dribbling item in which the water is going through, and then just getting over into the actual little creek that runs into the one that is in the deer habitat. Yeah, speaking about decals, you can see I'm using them all over the place here, making sure that this parking lot is also looking a bit more used and weathered. It's not like fully functioning yet, it's not like completely done, and for some odd reasons, I don't know why exactly, but the game decided to turn on weather, which clearly wasn't activated, and all of a sudden it just did. That was freaking weird, but whatever. And now we come to my favorite little element of this episode. I will also upload this to the workshop so you guys can have it ASAP. So this is going to be a very standardized entrance version into one of those nature reserves we have over here. So basically what this is kind of a rotating door system with these iron guiders, and then you can go through, push yourself through. It just rotates and keeps most of the animals from going through there because they simply don't understand this mechanism. And you can clearly also, close that off at night. So that's the main idea about these gates. They are not like super secure. It's like you could easily break in there if you want to, but I think they are more of a security for the animals than it is something to prevent people from breaking in, because if some of the deers or boars or whatever you have in these parks are loose, they can mostly roam around in the nature reserve if they want, because there is just another fence around the reserve, so it's not like that big of a deal. But if they would get onto the streets and stuff, that would be a big deal, because it's becoming very dangerous for them. And so these things help to make sure that they won't escape there. And I'm quite happy with all these new very tiny pieces. As you can see also here with the boulders, you can add just so much more detail, and it's, I don't know, it just looks all so much better, inevitably better by using so cool pieces. You can see until now we were really we needed pieces like we were really dependent on how weathered pieces were out of the box from Frontier, as you can see with this plank over here from the African pack, which is clearly already a bit more of a weathered texture, where you can change the texture, but you can't the color, but you can't change the texture. And now with all these wonderful little details in the decals that make things look weathered, you can use a perfectly modern looking wood and make that also look used, which is really adding to the overall versatility of the pieces. And yeah, you can see this is the entrance. Made a little entrance sign here myself, tried to go a little bit in style with these beautiful new little pieces. They looked a little bit like tiny birch wood pieces. That's what I wanted to say, and I ended up using them. But yeah, that's mostly about it. There are a couple of changes I did off screen, so be there for the real-time part in a couple of seconds, because then I'm going to show you everything in detail. I hope you guys enjoyed this voiceover, which was hopefully a little bit more peaceful with the music, piano music I like a lot now in this winter time, and I really hope you enjoyed that one. So thank you so much for watching, and I see you after the cut. Hey everyone, and welcome to the real-time part of Hirscheck, our brand new series on Planet Zoo, which is going to cover the winter month into early spring with the brand new Europe DLC and the functionalities, obviously, of 1.8. Now, you've heard already the time-lapse, and we are here in the real-time part. This is the arrival little parking lot. As you can see, it's gonna receive a massive overhaul, but as we all know, starting a first episode with a parking lot might not be the best idea. Did I say that right, Sean? Sean McBeard? Yeah, just you listening? If you're listening, you know what I mean. I like you too. Now, this is the Hirscheck, and I just want to point out this entrance real quick. I have talked about that briefly in the voiceover, but oh my boy, that was so much fun to build that. Also, can we just quickly... I tuned this up for another recording, but I just need to get this sound down a bit. Oh, that's better. Now, this is the entrance, and that is a entrance as you would see that in most of the wild parks or like wildlife parks we have around here. And so if you go here, obviously there's this like turning thing, and then you just go here, push that over, it would rotate and you are in. So that is just, first of all, obviously making sure that the guest flow is okay and it's not like massive, and also at the same time it prevents the animals from going out, or most of the bigger animals, if they would break out of their areas, which most often than not they are actually roaming in free, and there are some gutters in between, but they are not like super secure. So this is another way of keeping the animals in, because you can obviously lock that in the evening. You can see there is the lock just hanging down down here. So also custom sign, was a lot of fun building that using the this one down here as well. And then coming in, this is where the fun begins. Now we will use mainly this small area in here and a tiny bit up here. That's all we will do. And we will also have the badger in here. We will have the lynx in here. We are also going to have the deer, which is the star of today's episode. As you can see, they're roaming around over here in the back. We will have them all in here. And yeah. So the Ibex will also make it in, and then maybe we are going to use some of the animals, maybe even a reindeer, who knows, maybe we are going to do that and see what else we could find, typical animals that would potentially live over here, as Europe is not really that much represented in the game already, so we have to use what we have. But yeah, so I'm very, very excited to bring this to you over the next couple of weeks. And honestly though, I have not expected to start a new series on this pack. It hit me a little bit with surprise that I wanted to do that, but I just felt so good when I had the update. And the more I look at all of this, the more I'm a bit more positive that they're actually keeping themselves in smaller groups, which is pretty cool. Yeah, the grazing mechanic we've already talked about. Look at all the poop. And then we have this special tower design over here. Yeah, I talked about that already in the speed build. This is a bit inspired by one of the Black Forest watchtowers that there are. I had a huge struggle, as you've seen, making this one kind of look good because of how the path was doing some weird things. I think the design is pretty okay in the end. I have to adjust a couple of little things, do a bit more detailing, and obviously all around there's going to be a lot more dense forest. You can see the backdrop is already pretty dense, but as soon as I have layouted everything and know where things belong, I will make this all a lot, like massively foresty. But the idea will be to make especially the pathway and everything around the pathway like super detailed, and everything beyond will just be like filled in with some basic foliage, because anyways, like, you don't need that, you know. If it's going to be rendered, you don't need to go that crazy because it's going to be rendered anyways just in the foreground. So why would you bother making the backdrop so much? Yeah, we've got a bit of a viewing experience over here of the deers, like a bit secured, so you wouldn't technically go in here. I decided against keeping it open because that would have been a massive struggle to bring them all together. So I wanted to keep the habitat actually alive. But what I'm planning to do, I'm planning to get some gates, like some fake gates in here, in which the guest could potentially go into a trail that we are still about to do in one of the future episodes. Like, in terms of layout, I think my target is to have the big restaurant chill out central area here, which will also feature the lynx habitat in a way, which I'm not quite sure where it goes. Maybe it's going to be here, maybe it's going to be here on the back side. We have to look into that. I think the tendency is to have it here on the back side, to be honest. The badger will be somewhere in here. Tendency for the badger at the moment is going to be either here or either that area here, and the ibex is most likely going to get this area, which or like this area pretty much, which is going to be a lot more mountainish, and we have to make the road look a bit better as well. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys like it. Please, now it's your turn in the comments. As you all know, engagement in the videos is the best thing you can do to help me out, blah blah blah. No, I'm just very curious for opinion. What you think, what should we put in here? What kind of animals would you love to see in this park, and what type of things would you love to see? Have you visited such a typical wildlife park in Central Europe already? If yes, tell me which one, and also what you would love to see. Obviously, one big thing that I'm hoping for is secretly that at the end of this project we might already know what the next DLC is, and I'm just saying it, but birds would fit very well in here. I'm just not, I'm just saying that, saying it how it is. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did enjoy making this park. Gave me a little boost here, and yeah, I hope you guys have a good time. Talk to you in the next one. Stay safe and goodbye.